For the majority of the game, I thought this video would be about the gameplay. But then I got to the ending. I hate the ending. This whole video will be spoilers now, so there's your warning. As far as I can figure out, a couple hundred years prior to the events of the game, there was a war. We know it wasn't some kind of robot uprising because war versus peace was a huge political issue of the time. There was evidently some decision on the part of America to enter into the war. For the premise to make any sense, we have to assume that some foreign power completely decimated America and then just left. A civil war doesn't make any sense, and a separate mech society doesn't either, because the mechs don't have advanced AI. Mainly, they just roam around. I have no idea what else could have happened here. Anyway, the game opens on the two main characters being transported on a slave ship owned by an organization called Pyramid. Trip manages to break out of her holding cell and hacks a nearby terminal that allows her to blow a hole in the hull of the ship. Explosions ensue, and the protagonist, Monkey, is released from his cell and then races after Trip, hoping she can help him to escape. Along the way, this happens. The both of them end up escaping the crashing ship, and Trip puts one of the slave headbands on Monkey. She does so to force him into taking her back to her village, which is some 300 miles away. The game progresses, and they eventually get there, but find that everyone has been killed by mechs. Trip vows to get vengeance on Pyramid, and goes to one of her father's old friends, Pigsy, in hopes that he can help them out. He agrees, and they eventually find themselves stealing a giant mech from behind the Hoover Dam. They then use this mech to assault Pyramid's headquarters before we get the ending of the game. The final chapter ends with Pigsy kamikazing their giant mech into the rest of Pyramid's giant mechs, and then the prologue chapter begins. It is revealed that Pyramid is actually a man who uses the headbands to allow people to live within a world from before the war, recreated from his own memories. He argues that he is rescuing people from the destroyed world to live better lives. He shows Monkey the world he has created, but Trip ends up destroying it by killing Pyramid as he is being shown. The game ends with Trip asking Monkey if she did the right thing. This pseudo-philosophical bullshit just about ruins the entire story. It makes no sense given the events that have already occurred. Why would Pyramid go about his mission this way? It makes zero sense as to why he captures people, calls them slaves, and then has them transported to Pyramid headquarters. Why does he create the headbands with the ability to kill people? He's taking them against their will and forcing them to partake in his project rather than offering a value proposition and allowing the people to decide for themselves. He has the technology to show other people his vision, so why is abducting people his chosen method? Why can't we have some PSA tech demo thing going on and have people he's already recruited travel around to inform others? Speaking of his workers, why is he killing them? Shouldn't he be able to show them what's going on and to easily find people willing to work for him? None of this adds up whatsoever. If he doesn't believe that people will agree with his plan and feels that he must force them to partake against their will, does that make it any better? Who is he to judge what a better life is for any given person? How is there even a question of what he's doing is right? This is presented as a legitimate moral dilemma between his position and Trip's. Trip's being that deluding people is inherently wrong, but this still does not justify her killing the man. She just goes ahead and makes the decision for everyone else. Both positions presented are wrong. This is just a very poorly thought out attempt at a philosophical ending. Getting back to the inconsistencies created by the ending, Trip's village. Everyone in the village got burned to a crisp by mechs. At the end of the game, we get one line that implies only some of the mechs are controlled by Pyramid. So if it was Pyramid that attacked the village, he murdered people for no apparent reason. And if it wasn't Pyramid, it still doesn't make any sense. If it wasn't Pyramid, then why are we going after Pyramid? Trip has been downloading schematics from these mechs the whole game, so it doesn't add up that she wouldn't be able to determine which mechs belonged to Pyramid. It does make sense to say that the only Pyramid mechs encountered are the ones at the beginning and the ones from the Hoover Dam base onward. This would also explain away the fact that all the mechs in the game attack Trip and Monkey. Except that it still doesn't make sense, because again, why are we going after Pyramid? People living in this time would surely understand that there are two different factions of mechs. They would have to understand the difference because they themselves can reprogram mechs, and they are also very aware that the mechs themselves aren't very intelligent. While on the subject of Pyramid mechs, why on earth is Pyramid building giant mechs? For what purpose? What is their goal? If we are led to believe Pyramid is trying to abduct people from their homes and bring them back to headquarters, how do giant war mechs factor into that? The only two situations that make sense for building a mech that large is either for combat on a massive scale or to transport an enormous amount of people. If we assume that the giant war mech was built for combat purposes, what exactly is it supposed to be fighting? The only things comparable in size are other Pyramid mechs. They're way too large to fight any of the mechs that are actually a threat to humanity. And if we assume it's a transport ship, then why the hell do they have so many weapons? They're clearly built for combat. There is a big difference between withholding information from the audience and giving them information that blatantly contradicts other information already provided. It feels like they pulled this ending out of their asses because they wanted something that sounded smart and nuanced. Enslaved doesn't do a lot of hand-holding, which is fine, even encouraged. But the information that is provided has to be consistent. Lack of player knowledge should not be confused with legitimate plot holes. One could wonder where the mechs get their energy to function indefinitely, but that's not a plot hole, it's just not explained. The contradictions spawned by the ending are not of this variety. The ending just doesn't make any sense in the context of what we already know. That's why this ending is the one thing I hate about Enslaved Odyssey to the West.